Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast, and I'm with Arina today. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Very good. So let me ask you one of my favorite questions to ask people. If you could wave your magic wand and get whatever you wanted with food and body, or your relationship with food and body, what would that be for you? What's the big wish?
I heard you ask this question so many times, and I always wondered how I would answer this question. And if I had a chance to do it, I would probably stop being worried about what I eat, and I would stop being worried while I'm eating that I'm eating too fast. Sometimes it's been my goal to start eating slowly, but for some reason, just by thinking, constantly, okay, slow down, it made me even more nervous, I think. So I'm trying to find out how I can finally start eating slowly.
So anything else for you? Eating slow is a big one.
Yes, definitely a sugar problem, always eating lots of sugar. And it's not only, for me, it's not only sugar addiction, it's an addiction to a tradition, to a routine. Morning tea with something sweet, you have lunch, and then again, even if I don't want anything sweet at the moment, it's my routine to have another cup of tea with something sweet. So I'd like to break that routine as well, because obviously sugar and being addicted to sugar is not a great thing.
Okay, so slow eating, sugar, anything else for you?
Yes. My third concern is how to stop constantly thinking about what I eat. And I start planning my food for the day in the morning. I just had breakfast and I continue thinking about food, what I should have for lunch, whether it's going to be a healthy option or not. I try to go for something healthy. So sometimes I find myself that I almost don't think about anything else except for planning meals for myself, my husband, my baby. And obviously I'd like to have other things in life to think about other than food and eating healthy.
Sure. Okay. So let's start with the last thing first, thinking about food and being concerned about it and having that occupy your mind. So was that happening for you before you were married, before you had a baby?
I think so. Once I got into, or I would say I was always concerned about my weight, whether I was in good shape or not in a good shape. I was always thinking about it, but I didn't always know how to eat healthy. And once I started learning or reading about healthy eating, I think that made me think about planning menus, shopping for healthy foods like organic broccoli and things like that. I can't say that I thought before that eating fast food is good for you. I never thought that. I always knew that vegetables are good, having enough protein is good, and eliminating certain things is probably not good for you. But I think I started thinking closely about this type of dieting just a few years ago. But it happened already after I got married.
So how do you feel about your weight? Are you happy where you're at with that?
No, never too happy.
Okay. So if you could have what you wanted, how much weight would you lose?
Sometimes I think it's not a weight problem necessarily. Sometimes I think it's a problem of me not liking certain parts of my body. For example, I don't have like skinny legs. Let's say my legs are more on like a masculine side. I would say I have a good muscle definition, even without putting so much effort. And there's not much I can do. It's, I think, genetically, my legs are built that way. So I don't always like them. And maybe if I lose, I don't know, 20 pounds at this point, I will probably like them a little bit more. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the weight. It's just the way my body built that I don't always like.
How old are you, Arina?
I am 30, oh my goodness, 33. I'm going to be 33 in October.
33 in October. And where do you live?
I just moved to Denver, Colorado.
Oh, nice. We're neighbors. I'm in Boulder.
Yeah, I've been to Boulder a few weeks ago.
Yay. Where are you from originally?
Originally from Russia.
Oh, okay. So I'm also of Russian stock as well. Two of my grandparents were from Russia.
Oh, yeah?
And
that's
spoke Russian fluently, yes. So here's what I want to say about thinking about food. You know, it's an interesting, or thinking about it a lot. What's interesting about that challenge is right now, if you're the primary meal maker for your family,
yes,
and especially if you're dealing with a young one, and especially if you care about the food that you're preparing and you want to have good food, you want to have healthy food, it requires some thought.
Yes.
And it does require some planning. So, and what I'm about to say is a little bit paradoxical. So on the one hand, I think it's great that you're thinking about food a lot. Mm-hmm. Because it does take planning. Because, okay, if you're making 3 meals a day, if you're having snacks, then you have to make sure you shop for the food that you want to be cooking. And yeah, you know, some people like to plan ahead. Some people like to make sure, okay, well, I'm going to be cooking, I'm going to be making lunch later, I'm going to be making dinner later. And the mind will naturally go there because you're sort of taking care of business.
Yes.
Now, what happens, here's the paradoxical part. There's also this place inside you where it sounds like you can worry a little bit about food relative to, you know, what's in the back of your mind. Well, goodness, if I could lose a little weight, it might change my body shape. It might change this part of my body. It might change my legs. So there's going to be the part of us that's worried.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's going to be the part of you that's thinking about it, not from a place of planning, not from a place of, oh, I want to do right by me, by my family. I want to create healthy meals. Again, that takes planning and energy and thinking. Mm-hmm. But then there's this other part that is just the worrier in you. So I just want to, I'm mentioning that because I would love to see you start to separate those out a little bit more. And just acknowledge that there's going to be a certain amount of energy. If you care about cooking or you care about feeding your family, there's going to be a certain amount of energy that goes into that.
Yes.
So how to do that in a way where you feel, oh, well, okay, I'm doing the right thing. And planning is okay. Thinking about it is okay. No need to try to stop that. Mm-hmm. But yes, there's this other part of me that can worry about what I'm eating relative to my body weight or my body shape. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Yeah. So when are the times that you feel best about your body?
The times I feel best about my body, I think it's in the morning when it's on an empty stomach. I'm just about to eat my oatmeal, for example. I have a glass of water. I feel light. And then maybe that's another thing that I didn't mention, that when you asked me, I don't know why it didn't come in my head before. The problem of overeating often, maybe because I constantly think about what to cook, what to buy for cooking. I constantly snack, and I'm never really light or hungry for a meal. Mm-hmm. So the best time when I feel best is in the morning when I just woke up.
Got it. So you feel best when food is not an issue per se. You haven't eaten yet.
Yes.
It's the start of your day. Your last meal came maybe at dinner time yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. So you feel best when food is out of the equation.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So to me, when I hear that, what I think to myself is that in your journey, in your relationship with food and body, in your journey in life, you're learning how to be in relationship with food and in relationship with your body. So it really works for you. Mm-hmm. And part of what works for us is at some point, and I'm talking in the big picture, the goal is to make peace with being an eater.
Yes.
The goal is to make peace with being an eater. I'm a human being who eats. There's just no way around it. I'm going to eat meals. I'm going to have challenges with food. I'm going to have preferences about my body that, I'm not always getting what I want. It's not perfect. It's not right for me. And, so part of it is the 30s are a good time for people, particularly women, to really start to notice where you can get perfectionistic, where perfectionism can stop you and hinder you mm-hmm. and make you feel less good about yourself. Is your baby boy, girl?
A boy.
Yes. So, here you are, you're going to be raising a small child and you want him to have a healthy relationship with food and him to have a healthy relationship with his body. And mm-hmm. part of what kids do is they model after us.
It's true.
They pick up on things. You don't have to say anything. They'll just know. They tend mm-hmm. to emulate us in certain ways. So part of the, I think part of the benefit of you working on your relationship with food and body at this time in your life is that it not only is going to make you feel better as a person, it's going to help you raise a healthier child.
I really hope so.
Yeah. So all the work you do on self, as far as I'm concerned, helps your child and helps them to perhaps not have to be doing that work when they get older. No. So part of it is really looking at the voice in you that wants it to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And starting to embrace Arina for who she is. So beginning to subtly change the inner conversation that you have, or choosing to wish to change the inner conversation, and specifically changing the inner conversation to when you look in the mirror, instead of saying, my legs are too big, find out what you like about those legs. Start to see what's beautiful, start to see what works. Start to own them without trying to change them. I would even suggest consider that for the next 3 months.
So it should become like a homework.
Yeah, for the next 3 months, pretend that these are the legs you're going to have for the rest of your life.
Well, they are. They're going to be the same. So.
Yeah. And chances are 25 years from now, you're going to be wishing you had the legs that you had today.
It's probably true. Sometimes
Right?
you look at the pictures you didn't like 10 years ago and you're thinking, oh my goodness, look how great I look, but I didn't like myself back then.
Yes. So now is a great time. It's a great age. I often think in terms of the 30s being a time for a woman where you're transitioning from the young woman phase where I want it to be perfect, I want it to be just right, and I have to critique myself, and I have to judge myself, and I have to change myself in order for me to love me or for other people to love me. And we're gradually changing that to, it's okay. And that takes a little bit of, it takes choosing to wish to do that. So you're literally choosing to mature yourself. Because that's an old voice in us. The part of me, there's still a part of me that wants to go out running on the trail like I did when I was 20 years old. And I'm always a little disappointed when I realize I'm not 20 years old. I can't do that anymore.
Right.
Or there's even things I wish I could do that I could never do before.
Right.
So there's a beautiful letting go that's possible. So I just wanted to really put that out on the table, that so much of the thinking that you get trapped in is the part of you that wants to get it perfect. I want to make sure it's the perfect food, the perfect meal, so everybody can be perfectly healthy and I can have my perfect weight and my perfect body. And
Yes.
it's going to be imperfect.
Yeah, I just have to accept this. Oftentimes, if you're right, if I don't eat the way I wanted to eat, I get really disappointed. I get almost sad. Sometimes I even don't, like, my husband notices that it affects my mood if I didn't eat something I think I should have eaten.
Mm-hmm. And so that's your job, to begin to catch yourself. So it's really self-training. It's self-coaching. It's self-evolution. It's self-growth. It's really noticing, oh, okay, here's an area that I want to get better at. And the way I get better at that is, first of all, noticing when those thoughts come up, and then beginning to catch yourself. And sometimes, maybe it might be helpful to ask the question, is this really so bad? What just happened? I didn't eat this, or I ate that. Can I forgive myself and move forward so I can be present and in my power with my son, with my husband, with my family, with my life? Because the people in your life who you love most, they don't care about your legs. I bet your husband is just fine with you as you are. True, false?
I think it's true.
Yeah. So the people that care about you love you as you are. Your baby boy is not looking at his mommy going, damn, I wish those legs would change. People that care about you love you for who you are. And that's a great teacher for us. How can I start to do that? Now, because I think you are dealing with like internal rules that are really strong. I got to follow certain rules. I got to eat a certain way. And if we had enough time, we could figure out what all your rules are. That when you do those rules, you're a good girl. And when you break those rules, you're a bad girl.
Yes. So
we don't really have to figure out all those rules. You mentioned one of them. You mentioned about sugar. So in the course of a day, on an average day and an average week, if you were just sort of eating what you wanted, it sounds like you would have what, tea and honey a couple of times in the morning. Is that what you mentioned?
No, I would have tea with different cookies, with chocolate. Then I would have some ice cream after lunch and maybe something else in the evening. It's really a lot of sugar. And apart from that, I could eat fruit, and that adds up.
So is that a regular occurrence for you? Does that happen a number of times during the week, what you just described to me?
Every day.
Every day. Okay. So I want to recommend a nutritional kind of approach for you to think about. It's going to be difficult for you or anybody to say, oh, I have a sugar problem. Sugar's the problem. I have to eliminate the sugar. Now, I get that you want to do less sweet and less sugar. And I think that would be a good idea for you. Maybe not for the reasons you think, but sounds to me like, okay, it can be a good idea for you to not do as much sugar. But instead of fighting sugar, instead of trying to eat less sugar, what I want you to consider is saying to yourself, I want to have more breakfasts that are more protein rich and more fat rich. What happens is, and there's so much research out on this. I'm almost surprised that there are so many different studies on this, looking at breakfast, what people eat for breakfast, and how that impacts blood sugar throughout the day, how that impacts cravings throughout the day. And what you commonly see is that when we start the day with a carbohydrate-only meal, oatmeal, fruit, donut, cake, cookies, whatever, when you start out the day with a mostly carbohydrate-only meal, we will tend to crave carbohydrates throughout the day. So it sets your chemistry up for craving. So a part of you is dealing with your personal preference. I like sweet, makes me feel better. So the reason you're going for sweet is because it makes you feel good.
It does.
Yeah, that's great. So we need to train your body. You need to train your body that, yeah, sugar makes you feel good, but there's other ways to feel good.
Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, when my husband and I just moved to New York, I thought, okay, this is a clean start. I eliminated all processed sugars completely. And for, I think, a year or so, I didn't eat any sugar. But there's always a but. I was eating like 20 dates, a box of raisins, and all.
Sugar.
And it was, I think I started feeling worse, and I was gaining so much weight. And I was thinking, why is it happening? I'm not eating any sugar, but I didn't get any pleasure out of eating dates because they're not so tasty for me. I can eat one or two, but if you're craving sugar and eating 20 dates, and then I thought, okay, I'm done. And I'm just going to eat one thing of chocolate, and I'm going to be so happy instead of eating 30 dates a day. And I gave up.
Yes. So a lot of people do that. And I want you to think in terms of overall sweet. So yeah, dates are, and it's, even though it's a natural food, it's very high in natural sugars. Dried fruits, extremely high in natural sugars. It'll still give you a sugar rush. It's not giving you the same taste pleasure that you're looking for from chocolate or from, pastries and such. But I want you to think in terms of what can I eat at breakfast that has protein and fat in it. So that could be eggs, it could be cottage cheese, it could be yogurt, it could be any kind of breakfast meats, any kind of breakfast fish. Do any of those foods that I just mentioned have any appeal to you?
Yes, I eat still cut oats for breakfast almost every day, or I'll make an omelet. So I think or sometimes I just steam a bunch of vegetables and eat them with eggs. But after I finish, I need to have my me time where I make a cup of tea and I just put a lot of cookies on top of
Yes.
everything healthy that I ate.
Yes. So here's what I want to suggest. So even oatmeal for you, that's going to be pure carbohydrate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in eggs for you. I'm interested in any kind of meat or fish, any kind of yogurt, and it has to have fat in it. It can't be like a non-fat yogurt. So I'm interested in your body feeling more grounded, energetically, emotionally, psychically, psychologically. What often happens when we're doing a lot of sweet, it tends to scatter us just a little bit. It tends to disperse us a little bit. You don't feel grounded. Even when you were describing, after I have my vegetables and egg, I just want to eat all kind of sweets. Yes. And so it's this part of you that actually likes to be expanded. Mm-hmm. There's a part of you that's a little attached to that state because sugar kind of just, it expands you. Mm-hmm. So we will often, we can get attached or mildly addicted to the sugar or the sweet, but we're really getting attached to a certain state, a psychophysiologic state. So what I want to suggest is the more you can make your meals, I don't care if you had eggs every breakfast. I'm just looking to give your body the signal that you're getting grounded. Then what might be useful is to create a guideline for yourself that, okay, after my breakfast, I'm going to have, and you can have something sweet, but create a limitation on it from the beginning. Okay. And this gets now to your first concern that you mentioned, which was slow eating. Mm-hmm. Part of what happens is there's oftentimes a place in us when we're craving sugar and we're eating a lot of it, or craving sweet and eating a lot of it, that we're actually not even getting what we want because we're not fully present. So you're wanting an experience. And if I'm not fully present to the experience I say I want, I'm going to keep wanting it.
Right.
So if you want to be in a nice conversation with somebody, but you're not really paying attention and you're looking at your cell phone, you're not going to have the experience of having a nice conversation, and you're going to still want that nice conversation. If you're wanting the experience of sweet really feels good to me, then in order to have that experience, you have to be there. Mm-hmm. You have to be present. A part of you, I'm going to guess, checks out a little bit.
I think so. I often do it on the go. But how can you create that environment for yourself if lots of time you're busy, you're doing things, there's a baby to look after, so you still want that sugar experience, yes, but you don't have a free moment to just sit down and really truly enjoy.
Yes. So there's always going to be times during the day when you can create that moment for yourself, somewhere in there. And I'm just going to say, notice when that moment is there, wait for that moment. And the idea is whenever you eat anything sweet, I don't care when it is or what it is, your job is to slow down, be present, and enjoy it.
Okay.
Your job is to say, here I am. I love sweet food. I love what I'm eating. So let me pay attention to it when I'm eating it. Mm-hmm. You can, even if it's 2 minutes, even if you just slow your mind down for 2 minutes and go, I'm going to experience this. what's happening is your brain just isn't registering what you're saying that you want. Mm-hmm. You want pleasure from the sweet food. So instead, what's happening is you're not really present to it, and you're eating the sweet food, and it gives you a little bit of a rush, and then you're returning to that rush. And that's what's kind of motivating you to return to the sugar. And your new training for yourself about slowing down starts with sugar. Because there's a part of you that thinks it's bad for you. And if you think it's bad for you, you're going to want to do it quickly. Mm-hmm. Anytime we do a crime, any criminal that does a crime, the criminal doesn't want to do it slow. You want to do the crime quickly and get it over with and get out of there.
Right.
Right.
I never thought about it like that. Yes.
Yes. So you just want to do it quickly because this is bad. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm a bad girl, but I want to do it. So I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it fast. Mm-hmm. So part of it is taking sugar off of the bad list for you. And let's just look at it as another food. I know it's something that you want to limit more. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to regulate it more. You want to be able to say to yourself, I just want to have a healthy amount. I just want to have an amount that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like, oh, Alina's happy. I like this. I have my favorite cookie. Nothing wrong with that. There's a part of you that thinks there's something wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying, when you mentioned this, I was trying to imagine in my head, what is the healthy amount for me? Yeah. Is it 1 or 2? And so on.
So, when you just ask that question of yourself, you just look like a little girl, Mm-hmm. It looked like you were like 10 years old trying to make this decision, like, oh, I should be doing this, but this is so good. And what's a healthy amount? So there's the part of you that when you do sugar and when you do sweet, you sort of become a little kid. And there's nothing wrong with that. Little kids love sugar. Mm-hmm. Sugar is like a drug for a little kid. Sugar is like cocaine for a little kid. It really impacts their system very powerfully and creates an intense psychophysiologic experience for a young child. So what you're doing is you're gradually changing an old pattern. Part of the old pattern is I just become a kid when I eat sugar. And what does a kid do? A kid doesn't regulate themselves. A kid doesn't really care about my long-term health. A kid doesn't really care about, okay, I could just eat a lot of this. Nobody's looking. Let me just do it fast.
Yeah.
So you're bringing the adult Alina into the internal conversation. So you're really invoking, you're calling forth the adult in you, the young queen in you, and saying, okay, what is a healthy amount for me? That's a good question. And that's going to be a challenging question for you because your brain wants to go, well, none of it, or
right,
or half of a cookie, and the kid in you wants to go 6 cookies, and that's okay. So that's going to be an interesting dialogue for you to discover that. It might be a little bumpy, but you're asking the question, what's a healthy amount for me? And part of the reason it's for people who are fast eaters, one of the reasons it's hard to become a slow eater is simply because fast eating for a lot of people is just an old habit. It's a habit that you learn from your environment. Your parents, your friends, your teachers, everybody's eating fast. A lot of human beings, you go out to eat, you have fast food. Fast food, they cook it fast and you eat it fast. So a lot of the world is trained to eat fast. So it's hard to undo that habit. But we also eat fast because in many ways, it's hard for us to be present with ourselves. It's hard for me sometimes to be present with my body, especially in places that I'm challenged. So sugar is a challenge for you. Sweet is a challenge for you. Instead of meeting that challenge, it's just better for me to check out a little bit and just eat it quickly.
Yeah.
Because if I do it quickly, there's no thinking involved.
Right.
There's no awareness. But if there's no thinking and there's no awareness, there's really no taste, there's no pleasure, there's no experience, and you actually don't get what you want. So you slowing down with food means you have to own your desire for sugar and sweet or cookies before you try to get rid of that. You have to own it first. You have to look in the mirror and say, I love this. This makes me feel good. Hey, it's a little challenge for me. I could eat too much of it. I wish to eat less, but the reason why I'm eating so much is because I love it.
Right.
So if you really love to do something, you do it slowly. You wouldn't say, oh, I love sex so much, let's just get it over with in 20 seconds. No, you want it to last. If you like your vacation, you want it to last longer. So eating slow is not about a speed, really. Speed is secondary. Eating slow is about you owning the experience that you're in.
Okay.
So if I'm going to be in the experience called holding my child, I'm going to be present while I'm holding my child. If I'm going to be in the experience called talking to my husband, I'm going to be present and I'm going to be there.
Right.
If I'm going to be in the experience of eating something that I really love to eat, then be present to it. Are you going to want more after you eat it? Probably. But that's okay. It's going to be easier for you to regulate it once you own the desire and you begin to slow down and actually get the experience that you say you want. And so that means, yeah, you do find that time. You do find the time throughout the day where, oh, okay, I have 2 minutes. I have 3 minutes. And just really practice being present and owning your experience.
Yes,
now,
you're right.
Say again?
Yes, you're right. It's not only about just chewing slowly and being bored while you're eating. It's all about just fully enjoy and experience flavors and whatever emotions while you're eating and so on. Yes,
because that's what your body wants. Your body is wanting an experience. You're wanting an experience. So you have to learn to give yourself that experience and be present in that experience, especially because you're doing it anyways. Right now you're doing the action called eating sweet foods, but you're not fully giving yourself the experience. And then what you try to do is you try to take away that experience. Okay, so for a year, I'm not going to eat it or whatever. But you're trying to push it away. You still haven't owned it yet. And because you couldn't push it away, you ended up eating dates and dried fruits, which are just your brain's reinterpretation of, okay, if I can't have processed sugar, I'm going to have natural sugar.
Right.
But you still didn't get the experience you wanted.
But I have to say that when you mention it like this, it's not even only with food. I have to say that it's with many things I do throughout the day. When I sit down to read a book, let's say, my brain is already thinking, okay, I'm going to read a book, then I'm going to do something else, and then I have to do something else and things like that. So I feel like I do rush through almost every single thing that I do during the day. And maybe it sounds really sad when I think about it like this, but I think it's true.
Honestly, Alina, I think that's a lot of human beings. That's how the world is in so many places. That's how we're taught. Everybody's in a rush. If you lived in New York City, everybody's in a rush. So many cities, everybody's in a rush. It's things move quickly. You want fast internet speed. I get on my computer. If everything doesn't work really fast, I'm upset. So part of life really is all of us learning just how to be present to it and how to get ourselves out of the alarm response, the stress response, I got to do this, I got to do that. Now I have to be here. Now I have to be there. And we're never present to our experience. So you're learning how to do that. And you're learning how to do it better than you've ever done it before. And you're right. It's not just food, it's life. And food is just a part of life. So you're going to have an easier time regulating your sugar intake as you start to notice other places in life where, okay, I'm reading a book. For the next 15 minutes, I'm reading this book, or 30 minutes. And I'm going to really see if I can relax and focus and be present with this experience. Because that's where the action is. The action is always happening right now, not later.
Yeah.
So you're training yourself to do that. That's sort of how I see you right now. Having a baby, by the way, is great training to be present.
Yes.
Right? Because babies have how old is your son?
He's 10 months.
10 months. So his needs are very immediate.
Yes.
And you have to be focused. You have to be there. You have to tune into him.
That was my main worry before I had him when I was pregnant. I know myself, and probably like you already noticed, and I mentioned that too, that I do rush a lot. I'm like a hurricane, like I move around the house, like I do things fast. I do a few things at the same time. And I knew that having a baby meant me dedicating my time to somebody and being present, being there for somebody, for even including breastfeeding, maybe for an hour at a time with a few little breaks. And I was really scared of that because I said, I already don't have time for anything. How am I going to just sit there and be there and potentially do nothing for so many hours? And it took a lot of work on myself just to accept that. And I think it went and is going okay.
I'm so glad to hear that. That's really wonderful. I mean, congratulations, because you were aware of that about yourself and you still chose to be a mother and you chose to face this part of yourself. And it's not like there's anything wrong with you and there's something broken about you. It's just, no, this is who you are and got a lot of energy, and that energy just wants to go in different places. And part of your life journey is you're learning how to relax into the moment more and learning how to pull that energy in more so you can be more centered and more present for a child that needs you and a family that needs you. And you're learning how to do that for yourself at the same time. I mean, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just going to continue. So again, I want to say I'm thinking of you in terms of what will help you ground yourself. When I say grounding yourself, I mean what's going to help you sink into the moment? What's going to help you relax into your body so you're less. And food-wise, when we think of the macronutrients, proteins, fat, carbohydrate, it's the protein and fat component of food that tends to be more grounding, that tends to get us centered more.
Okay.
If you want your 3-year-old child running around like crazy, feed them sugar.
Right.
If you want to be a really scattered, just do a lot of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm going to emphasize making sure, even seeing if you could introduce other snacks, not necessarily take away the sweets, but introduce other snacks during the day that might be more grounding. It could be, I don't know, nut butter. It could be olives. It could be like a hummus dip. It could be like a yogurt. It could be a hard-boiled egg if you didn't have it at breakfast. It could be, some amount of nuts and seeds. Don't think in terms of calories.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine that you're going to burn whatever you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking in terms of what's going to help you ground yourself.
Yes.
Because right now, sugar is supporting you in being less grounded. So I just want to, what else helps you feel? Just in general in life, what helps you feel kind of relaxed or centered, or just feeling like, yeah, I'm in myself?
I've been trying to figure it out for a long time. So because I'm so fast by nature, I think, and my husband he's the opposite. He's like this, he can sit. He's the most grounded person on earth. He takes it all in. He enjoys everything. He gets his moments when he's worried about something, but most of the time, if you look at him, nothing worries that person. And I think because he's so slow, sometimes it even pushes me to move even faster. I don't know how it works, but so whenever he's more active and is doing certain things, I feel like, okay, now I can slow down. And I did mention this to him a lot of times. I said, maybe you can help me. Maybe you can do other things, And but so far we didn't figure it out. So to summarize this, I think the moments when I feel grounded is when he's running around and doing things around me. But it almost never happens.
Yes. So anything else you can think of that helps you feel more grounded?
I'm trying to think. Sometimes it just happened naturally, and I do really enjoy that moment. Just yesterday, I was cooking something. I was listening to nice music, and the baby was sleeping. So a lot of things I thought were okay, didn't need my attention or my control or whatever you want to call it. And I was able to cook slow, and I was really present. And I don't know, maybe you can say that music helps me. But really, I honestly can't pinpoint exactly. It just happens randomly. And maybe I need to be more observant and even more in the moment. And maybe I need to ask myself, oh, look, it feels nice. You're slow. What happened? What helped you be like that in the moment? But I haven't noticed yet.
Yeah, that's a great ongoing question to ask yourself. If you notice that there's certain kind of music that helps get you into your body more,
mm-hmm.
then I would just experiment with that, play with that. Notice what music helps you just feel yourself more, feel like you're in your body more. Do you ever do any kind of just simple yoga or stretching or any kind of exercise in the house where you live?
I do Pilates.
Yes.
But I have tried yoga or meditation, but I can't. I'm just all, inside me. I'm trying to relax, but I feel like it works the opposite direction.
Yeah, sure. I understand that. Do you ever work with light weights, like little dumbbells?
No.
That might be an interesting experiment, just to have some light weights around the house, 5-pound weights, 10-pound weights, mm-hmm. and just literally, if you have 60 seconds, You go over and you just do some weights.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just giving your body the signal. I'm in order to lift a weight that's challenging you even a little bit, you have to be in your body. You have to be more present. I'm looking for little ways that are easy for you, because I can imagine, yes, a meditation practice would probably make your mind a little more chaotic. So I'm trying to think of something easy or easier, which would usually be something that forces you to be in your body in the moment. So Pilates really makes you be in your body. You have to really pay attention.
Yeah.
Something like having little weights around the house, or any kind of, even if you do push-ups, like any exercise that puts you in your muscles. Might be just a little practice that you can do that just adds up with everything else. But to really ask the question, what helps me be in my body? What helps me ground? And just keep asking that from now until forever, until you get answers, because it's just such a great question for you and such a great exploration. So already we've talked about, understanding that in order for you to let go of sugar, which can unground you, or not let go of it, to regulate it better. So my personal wish for you is that you're able to include sugar and sweet foods in a way that works for you.
Right.
Works for you means I have enough, I feel good, I'm pleased, I'm pleasured, and I move on. And I don't have to do more to the degree that it ungrounds me. So that's what I'm looking for you. So we've already talked about, part of that means embracing the desire and really learning to be present in your body with the thing you're doing, which is eating something pleasurable. And slowing down isn't a speed. Slowing down is really you being present.
Right.
So that's just one of your personal challenges that you come into this life with. I think it's like, okay, I have to learn just how to be in my body and ground myself more.
Right. Yeah. And I am always I wouldn't say jealous, but maybe I almost admire those people, who go through life and they don't worry about many things as much as I do. And they just, it's okay, I'll figure it out. I'll do one thing, then I'll do another. And they just look so calm and so everything looks like everything is in place. And I always wonder how they do it. What's the secret?
Yeah. It's going to be tough if you start to compare yourself, because you never truly know somebody else's life and what's really going on.
Yes.
So it's you just noticing, this is where I'm at. This is part of my journey. It's okay. And you've already made great strides. Becoming a mom has really helped you grow and has helped you mature and has helped you transform yourself. And it's going to do that more and more. And yeah, I just want to say, so far, so good. And you're just learning how to do things better.
Thank
you. So rather than see the sugar as a problem, let's see it as just part of your journey, where you're learning how to be a better Arina and you're learning how to best nourish yourself. And part of that is learning how to be present.
Yes, it's really good advice. Thank you so much. I got some interesting insight of what question to ask myself, and from now on, I definitely have that goal, that homework of what I need to do to become more grounded, and hopefully it will help me to eat less sugar. I'm very excited to find out.
Yes. I think it will. It's just going to take some practice. And I really appreciate you being so present in the conversation and so honest and so real. And, I hope this is helpful for you. And I'm sure it's going to be helpful for a lot of people listening in. So thank you, Arina.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Okay. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Take care until next time.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.